Our five senses and the point of balance. This video is how to expand your awareness and find your point of balance. I'm recording today in the last outer bands of Hurricane Eta from Florida, and I thought it might be nice to be outside, connected to nature as I do this video. Okay, so here we go. We're going to walk through what we all have, and it's just a matter of tapping into it. So we're going to start with the sense of hearing. Can you tune into your senses and hear the sounds? You may hear the rain in the background, the rain running through my gutter, the wind, sounds at home as you listen to this. And can you look for the space between the sounds, the quiet place in the middle of all those sounds? Can you tune into your sense of sight? As the light changes around me, you'll find yourself looking at objects. Can you see the space between it? Can you see the light between the objects? Can you see inside as well as outside? Can you bring your awareness to your sense of smell and feel the breath in and out through your nose, through your mouth? Can you feel your sense of taste? Can you taste what is still in your mouth? Can you speak and feel the vibration of your voice? Just tuning in to the five senses we all have. And to tune into our sense of touch, our sense of feel, we're going to go to the middle of our body, the point of balance. The point of balance is different than the center of gravity. The center of gravity describes a geographical location in the middle of our mass, a static mass or a dead mass. But we are moving bodies, with the things constantly adjusting around us. We're navigating our way through various forces of motion all the time. So in our center, where the three planes of our three-dimensional body intersect, there's a fulcrum point in our body, an axis point. That's the point of balance. It's a moving point. It's not static. You can think of it as sort of a ball or a sphere or a multifaceted jewel or a geodesic dome sort of structure somewhere between your belly button and your lumbar, above the pelvis. You can get in touch with this sitting or standing. We all have one. It's simply where the three planes of our three-dimensional body intersect. That's the point of balance. It can shift up and down. It can shift forward and back. So as we rock our bodies, left, right, front, back, feel that that center is a movable center. I like to think of it as a multifaceted geometric sphere. And everybody can sense a color. Color and sound are how we recognize frequency. And everything is just frequency, energy, vibration, right? So as we tap into our sense of feel, we're going to the center of our body. And you may imagine it or you may physically feel it. The point of balance acts like a center of rotation, just like the eye of a hurricane. Why I wanted to do this video today. The eye of the hurricane is what everything organizes around. So it's a nothing. It's an empty space. Some people feel their point of balance as an empty space. For some people it has a color. It can be clear, it can have blue, purple, orange, yellow. You may sense a color. You may sense it as an empty space. But can you bring your awareness there to the middle of your body and find the still point. Just like hearing the space between the sounds, or seeing the light between the object, or the breath that surrounds what we smell. As you feel that point of balance, can you let the color or the sound or the shape of it filter back up into your upper body and sort of enhance your other senses? Let it filter into your sense of sight, your sense of hearing, your sense of taste, smell, and even the awareness of touch without physically touching anything. Can you feel it through your fingertips? Just become aware of it. Then from that center, particularly if you see a color, can you let that color or that energy from your center, your sense of touch, your sense of feel, fill the pelvis, fill your legs, fill your feet, go through your feet, deep into the earth. The earth has forces of motion. Think of the earth energy, again, like the same kind of geometric grid, maybe with light pulses going through it, maybe with sound. Maybe you see it like a spider web or a honeycomb, but there are moving forces of the planet moving through space. And again, we're going to try to tap into the stillness that is in the middle of that motion. The earth is constantly filled with the forces of motion, but our center can tap into the center, the energy in the ground below us. Right? So find that connection. And just like below us, up above us, they're the movement of the sun, the moon, which even affects our tides, the forces of motion of all the planets and the stars as they move around. There are forces in the sky of motion, just like the forces of the earth's motion. Everything is in constant flux and change and movement. So from our center, not only can we connect into the still point in the middle of the earth, but maybe the still point in all the forces that are above us, that are up in the sky. Can we align our center to gravity? Gravity is what connects the earth energy to the energy of the stars. It's where we live. This is our physical reality. And this point of balance, although an imaginary place, we can feel it as tangible as we can feel the forces of wind or humidity or temperature. None of those are things we can grasp, but we have a physical experience of it. So that's what you're tapping into with your sense of feel. But we're doing it from the fulcrum, or the axis of our physical three-dimensional body. Because a fulcrum doesn't need to move a lot for the outer planes of the body to readjust. So whether you're sitting or standing, as we find that alignment to the forces of motion in the sky, the forces of motion under the earth, we live in between. So can we align to the feeling of gravity that connects them? Align and connect to all that is. Find our place in time and space in our physical body, and find that alignment, allowing the rest of our body to organize around the center, much like a storm organizes around the eye of the hurricane. And the eye of the hurricane is nothing. It's a drop in barometric pressure. It's empty space. And yet, it is the thing that organizes the clouds into the force of a hurricane. So our center organizes our entire body most efficiently. It heightens the awareness we have through our five senses. This is our sense of touch. So whether we're navigating our way through external forces, like a hurricane, or energies that are around us, or internal forces, sometimes what we think creates a tremendous amount of force internally. Sometimes what we feel emotionally creates waves of energy that we experience internally. But whether we're talking about internal forces or external forces, the universe operates in constant motion. It's never static, even though I'm sitting here in a chair, or you can be standing doing this exercise. But we can find the still point in the middle of all that motion. That's where we balance. That's what we can align to. So whether we can influence or control the forces of motion, or resist the forces of motion, channeling water where we want it to go, channeling the force of wind, aligning with it is the best place to operate from. As we get into that alignment, we can feel what we can resist and what we can't, how much we resist or how little. So when we're riding a horse has the center, just like we do. We can choose to follow it and harmonize with it. It may move around within the sort of 360 degree surface area of the saddle, but their point of balance is between their four legs in their torso, not including the neck and head. We can harmonize with the center of another, and when we do that, we find the eye of the motion. We find the stillness in the middle of all these things that are swirling. It works for mental forces as well as emotional forces, and we tangibly experience it through physical forces. So as we connect and we find that stillness right in the center of our bodies, it would help right now if you get up and walk around. I tried doing the video with the sound from the computer. It didn't work, so I had to put on the earphones, which is why I can't walk around with you. But as you imagine walking around, or even if you're still sitting, you'll feel that in motion, you have to renegotiate the stability and the control over your own center of a three-dimensional body. It may have a sound for you. It may have a color. It may be just emptiness, like the eye of a hurricane. But you'll tangibly feel your body reorganize around this center, around this still point. And that is us managing our own balance. It's not a place that's often thought of, but it's the most efficient place to operate from. It's where we feel our connection, not only throughout our whole body in 3 dimensions all at once, all of our 5 senses all at once, and even maybe what we call our 6th sense, which is a connectedness to all that is, above us, below us, inside of us, and outside of us. So I didn't do this video for a long time because I didn't want to come across as a horse whisperer, as something mythic, as something woo-woo. This is a tangible experience for all bodies. And I believe where bodies are concerned, not only do the mental, emotional, physical, maybe spiritual aspects of our existence coalesce in this point of balance, but also I believe a body is where we not only experience classical physics, Newtonian laws of motion, but also quantum mechanics, the things that are a little hard for us to understand in our physical existence. I think those things meet in our bodies, that's where the classical physics and Newtonian laws of motion and quantum mechanics intersect in our thoughts, in our feelings, in our physical day-to-day coping with the forces of motion. This is a huge part of working with another. In the context of riding a horse, this is how we tap into our intuition. This is how we tap into the ever-changing, unique, unpredictable forces of motion that we are riding. Like a surfer rides a wave, a rider balances in our connection to gravity, which is the earth and the sky, our own alignment, which can be independent of the movement of the horse, or it can be in harmony with the very center of the horse in the same way. So playing with this idea, doing this video without a horse in sight, is because we can work on this in ourselves, whether we ride horses or don't. If we're just mooching around the house, doing our day-to-day activities, if we're doing something physical that requires balance and mobility, even if we're overwhelmed with emotions, with thoughts, those are forces that we experience physically in our body. And again, this exercise might be useful for non-riders. You can play with it in a static situation, like I'm showing on the video, just sitting, and you realize that we're never fully static. We're never still. There's always forces of motion at play. But the gap between sounds, the light between objects, the still point between motion, right? So the still point between motion, even if you throw a ball in the air, there's a place it accelerates and goes up. Then there's just the briefest moment where it pauses and it's still between going up and coming down. So whatever motion we can think of, there's a point in there, theoretically, that we can actually experience. And looking for that point is what helps us balance and navigate in 3 dimensions all at once. So I hope you found this video helpful. I thought it was really appropriate to do as the eye of the hurricane is passing just north of where I am in Florida, and the outer bands are coming and going. The sounds are coming and going. I wanted to share this with you. Try it yourself. And I hope you find the stillness in the middle of all the chaos. As you play with this idea, it already lives in you. It's just a matter of becoming aware of it. It's nothing special. We all have it. Enjoy it. Bye for now.